So if you clicked on this video, you obviously want lower FPS and better input delay, whether if you're on PC or console. But before you start skipping around in the video, there's one thing you have to know. The first part of this video is going to be PC and console tips, which means that we're going to go over some of the in-game Fortnite settings, and I'm going to tell you some physical things that you can do to get better FPS and lower input delay as well. And then the whole second half of this video is going to be PC only tips. And another really important thing that I wanted to quickly mention was I'm not going to make you guys download some sketchy FPS packs. We're just going to do everything we can to optimize your PC to get the highest FPS. So let's stop wasting time. Let's get right into it. Alrighty, guys. So before we go right into our settings, I did want to mention if you wanted a zero input delay 1v1 map, guys, you could use my map here. It's got all the best features, including music and slow-mo to be able to practice. So if you want to use it, here's the code on screen. But with that being said, let's hop right into our settings, and we're going to go to our display settings first. Now, for console players, you're only going to have two settings here that we need to worry about. The first one is going to be 120 FPS mode if you're on the new gen consoles. Make sure you're not on 60 and go on 120. And the second setting is going to be motion blur. And since I'm on PC performance mode, I can't show you guys, but make sure you have motion blur turned off. And then for the rest of my PC, guys, make sure you play on full screen. So many players I see are playing on windowed full screen, and this gives you an automatic 30 milliseconds of input delay. Full screen is an absolute must. And then resolution, unless you play on a custom res, I recommend you play on 1920 by 1080. I don't recommend 1600 by 900 because if you just wanted to get some lower FPS, you could come down here to your 3D res and just turn this down a little bit. It has the same exact effect. Then don't worry about your frame rate limiter because we're going to talk about this later on in the video. And then rendering mode, we're also going to circle back to this as well in the video, but make sure you are on performance mode. But the PC fellas, make sure you have your 3D res at 100%. If you want extra FPS and you play on a really low spec PC, you could come here and put this at about 90, but anything less than about 80% on your 3D res just looks really pixelated and it's hard to see players from long range. So that's why I usually keep mine at 100%. Then view distance, I recommend you keep on near. Textures, you can also keep on low. Then meshes, you want to be on low and not just for the FPS. You get better visibility in game and of other players with low message, so I recommend you keep that on low. And show FPS is obviously personal preference, and report performance steps, we're going to keep that on disabled. But guys, before we continue on with the video, I wanted to tell you that I partnered up with Geology to sponsor today's video. Geology is the best online personalized skincare routine where you could go take a skin quiz on their website to get a 100% personalized skincare routine for yourself. And personal hygiene is extremely important, and Geology makes it so easy to be able to take care of your skin. Let me show you what I mean. When you receive your Geology package, you'll realize how simple it really is. Each and every high quality product that they offer is numerically ordered to know which one you're supposed to use first and at what time. And they also include these info cards, which are super helpful. That helps you fully understand what the product is and when to use it. And for me personally, I have always struggled with acne. And growing up and even into my early 20s, I tried almost every acne solution that's out there. And to my surprise, using Geology for just a little while, I finally got my skin to kind of calm down a little when it comes to acne. And guys, the best part is Geology is offering 70% off to your personalized skincare trial set and an extra 30% off to any additional products you want to add to your trial set. And guys, I'm serious when I say this is a crazy good deal because you're getting $50 worth of product for $15. And guys, like I said, I spent a lot of money trying to fix my acne. So guys, for getting this deal for only 15 bucks, if you have acne, I would jump on that immediately. So guys, stop wasting your time and jump on this deal with the link in the description and just make your skincare easy on yourself by using Geology. And now that you guys know how to get your next skincare routine, let's go ahead and continue on with the video. Then we're going to head over to our audio tab. We're going to come down all here. Obviously, our audio tab is personal preference. Besides your sound quality, I recommend you put your sound quality on low. Putting the sound quality on low versus on high is going to change the sound of the pump shotgun, but that's about it. Footsteps are just as loud and you can still hear shots from a distance in game, but this will give you some better FPS. Then background audio, this is personal preference, but we're always going to say full screen anyways, so this doesn't really matter. Then once you put your sound quality on low, come down to subtitles and go into here and turn everything off and to the left. This will also help your FPS just a little bit as well. Then visualize sound effects, I do recommend that you keep this on. Now, if you're on an old gen console, those are almost 10 years old, and anything you can do to get better FPS, I recommend you do it. So if you're on an old console, I would recommend you keep this off just for the sake of getting better FPS. But if you're on hardware any newer than about 5 years, I'd recommend you keep this on just because it gives you such a good in-game advantage. Then the rest of this tab doesn't play with your FPS at all, so we can go ahead and leave all that. That's all personal preference. Then moving on to the game tab, we're going to come over here and go to our matchmaking region, and we're going to set this manually, not on auto. The reason why you want to set this on manual is because I know I'm closer to the NA East servers than I am Central, but the 38 milliseconds of ping I have on Central sometimes dips below below the 33 milliseconds ping I have on East. But like I said, I know I'm closer to NAE servers and I don't want my ping any higher than it needs to be. So that's why I recommend you manually set your matchmaking region. And once you do that, come all the way to the very bottom of your game settings. And I want you to turn all of your record replays off, unless you have to use them. But if you're not, turn them off because they're constantly recording in the background, which is taking performance of your system. And then definitely come down here and turn off both of these energy saving modes. Having either of these on could possibly be limiting your power to your PC or your console. And if that's the case, you're definitely going to be getting lower FPS. So make sure you have those off. Then moving on to the game UI tab, none of this really matters. This is all personal preference except one. Come down here, take your runtime performance stats and turn this off. This only really helps in creative, but it is constantly running in the background. So go ahead and turn it off. And now moving on to the gyro settings. So even if you play keyboard and mouse, you need to come to the gyro aiming options and turn all of this off. Just like the replay mode, you don't want anything searching or working in the background that might be possibly taking FPS from your game. So I recommend keeping all of this off because aiming with your joysticks is just way better anyways, even if you do use this. But this will help you keyboard players as well. Then I want you to come over to the controller options tab, and if you play on controller, make sure you have your vibration off. It's a really interesting one, but whenever I play with vibration, I feel like I have more input delay. And also not just controller players, but keyboard and mouse players as well. I want you to scroll all the way to the very bottom of the controller settings, all the way down to the foot controller, and we're also going to turn this off. It's the same exact idea with the gyro settings. You want this off because you don't want anything running in the background. Then all of my console and controller players, I want you to come all the way down to switch mode / edit in your controller binds. And I want you to bind this somewhere on your controller on a bind that you never press. For me, it's my right D-pad, and whenever I'm editing any of my builds, I never press the right D-pad. I press my A button to edit, which is bound on a paddle on the back of my controller. But the reason why you want to have this bound to your controller and still use your regular edit binds is because this gets rid of a terrible edit delay on controller. And once you turn it on and try editing, you'll understand that input delay that I was talking about. Then the last thing we're going to do in our Fortnite settings is go back to our game settings, and we're going to scroll down until we see disable pre-edit option. This right here, you want to make sure you have this off, and it's the same thing with switch mode / edit. This gets rid of a bad edit delay, and yes, this affects you keyboard players as well. Now guys, there's more things you can do physically to get less input delay, especially if you play on console, and one of those being use a wired controller. Bluetooth connectivity is technically faster than a wired connection, but if you have a lot of wireless devices in your vicinity that actually can interfere with each other, and that connection simply isn't as consistent as a wired connection. And another thing you need to do for console and PC players is don't use all of your ports on your console and PC to plug in random things. And for example, guys, I have lighting for my webcam, I have these LED lights, I have this sign, and the majority of those are all plugged into my wall, not my PC. You only want to plug things into your PC or console that's absolutely mandatory to be able to run that system. And the third thing you can physically do to get less delay is to have an Ethernet cable. Now, the majority of you already know this, so I'm not going to dive super deep into it, but a 50-foot long Ethernet cable is still better than Wi-Fi. If you could somehow get Ethernet, your ping will be so much more consistent and a lot lower. So do yourself a favor and just go out and buy one if you can. And the fourth thing you could do to get better performance is to let your console breathe. And it's kind of sad that I have to say this, but this goes for you PC players as well. If you want better performance from your system, you need good airflow. Don't shove your console under a big media center or stack games on it or books or movies. And if you're a PC guy, don't throw your PC in a corner, man. I know it's on the floor under your desk. Get it on top of the desk or put some cardboard under it if you have your PC on carpet. Like seriously, these things actually matter. I wouldn't waste your time and put it in the video if it didn't. So guys, that's all I got for the console fellas. And now we're gonna get into the PC only tips. But if you are a console player and you watch the full entire video, comment down below and I'll try to subscribe back to some of you guys. All right, so my PC guys, we're gonna go back into our settings. And like I said earlier, we were gonna swing back to this performance mode. We're gonna take our performance mode and we're gonna put this on DirectX 11, and then we're gonna restart our system. So now that we've restarted, we're going to go back into our settings, and now you can see there's a lot more settings in here than there were before. But the first one we're going to talk about is motion blur again. Obviously, if you are in performance mode, you can change this, but if I turn this on and then I went back to performance mode, you wouldn't even know if it was on or not, and you can't change this setting while being on performance mode. So make sure you have your motion blur off, then come down here and make sure your anti-aliasing is off, then make sure all of these settings here are off or all the way to the very left. Then at the very bottom, turn off latency markers. And this is the most important one. Come to the Nvidia Reflex Low Latency and put this on plus boost. This is going to help your input delay so much. So make sure you have that on, and report performance stats, keep that off. So guys, once you have all of that changed, you're going to come all the way back up and you are going to go back on performance mode and then click apply. So guys, that's all of the Fortnite PC settings that we have to change, and that's going to help your game a ton. But there's a lot of optimizations we could do in Windows to make your PC run a lot smoother. So let's get into PC tip number 1. All right guys, so first things first, we're going to go to our desktop, where we're going to press and hold the Windows button and then press our R key on our keyboard, and this little window is going to pop open. And then from here, we're going to type in %temp%, just like that, and then we're going to press OK. Then you're going to open up all of your local temporary files, and what all of these files are is pretty much temporary files Windows needed to complete a task, and they're taking up a bunch of space on your PC. So let's clean all of this out. We're going to select all of them, highlight, right click, and then delete. And of course, we're going to have some files here that can't be deleted because Windows is still using them, and I am obviously recording on my PC, so there's definitely going to be some temp files for you as well. So what we're going to do is just check this box, do this for all current items, and we're just going to skip. Perfect. Just like that, we got rid of all of our temp files, and we're going to exit out of here, and then we're going to right click on our recycle bin, and we're going to click empty recycle bin, and then yes. And boom, just like that, we cleared up a bunch of storage on our PC. And if you've never done this before, it's probably going to be a lot of storage for you. All right guys, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find our Epic Games launcher. And if you don't have a shortcut, you can search it up in your Windows bar right here. But what we're going to do is right click on our Epic Games launcher. We're going to go to properties. And once we're in properties, we're going to go over to the compatibility tab. And then we're going to click this box right here, which will run this as an administrator. And obviously it's already checked for me, but once you check that, go ahead and hit apply and then okay. Then we're going to go into our Epic Games launcher. Then we're going to come to Fortnite and we're going to click these 3 dots. And then we're going to click on options. Then once you're here, if you don't play Fortnite Save the World, you can uncheck this to uninstall Save the World. And I recently did it for a video, so I did have to reinstall it. But another one you don't need is high resolution textures. Uncheck that box as well. And if you're like me and you've done this before and you haven't checked it in a while, after the Fortnite Chapter 5 update, my high resolution textures re-downloaded by themselves. So if you've done this before but haven't done it since Chapter 5, definitely get rid of your high resolution textures, and we can just go ahead and hit apply. Then it's going to take a minute to initialize and uninstall those files. Then once that's done, you're not going to have high resolution textures anymore, so your game will definitely get some more FPS. All right guys, and then the next tip we're going to do is we're going to press Windows and R on our keyboard, and we are going to type in %local app data %, just like how you see it here. And then we're going to press OK. Then we're going to scroll down until we see Fortnite game, not Epic Games, just Fortnite game. Then we're going to click saved. Then we're going to go to config, Windows client. Now you're going to see this game user settings file. And before we go in there, we're going to right click and we're going to go to properties, and we're going to untick this read only box right here. But if it's unticked for you already, that's totally fine. Then we're just going to hit apply and then okay. Then we're going to jump into the game user settings. Now we're going to scroll all the way down until you see the resolutions. I always look for this right here, and we're going to find our frame rate limiter. Now you don't want to mess with any of these zeros. You just want to change the face value of your FPS depending on what monitor you have. If you have a 144 hertz monitor, you want to take the FPS down by 3. So that would be 141 FPS is what you would want to set your frame rate limiter at. And if you're on a 60 hertz monitor, you want to put it on 59 FPS. And if you're on a 165, you want to put that at a 162. And if you're like me on 240, you want to put this at 237. Then we're going to come up to the top right, press file and save, or just press Control S. And then we're going to exit out of here. And once we're exited out, we want to right click, go to properties again. Then we're going to tick this read only box and make sure that's on, and then hit apply and okay. And now we can exit out of here and we're good to go. Now, the next tip I'm about to give you is such a drastic change. It's going to give you so much more performance. Press the Windows key down here and go into your settings. Then we're going to go to the gaming tab. And we're going to find game bar right up here up top, and we're going to turn this off. This is by default enabled on any fresh Windows install. The game bar is horribly optimized optimized, and it's not good, and it takes up so much performance of your PC. So once you turn this off, you'll realize what I'm saying. Once you get in game, your game is going to feel so much better. Then once you've done that, we're going to go to home, and then we're going to come here and we're going to search background apps right here. We're going to click that, and we're going to turn off all background apps. There is nothing in here that I necessarily need running while I'm gaming. Now, if you're a little bit different and you want something running in the background, like you want your calculator on or whatever it is, you could turn this on and turn all of these off manually, but I recommend you don't have any background apps on whatsoever. That's just simply going to help your PC's performance a bit. And once you're done with that, we can exit out of here. Now, once you've done that, we're going to do the next tip, which is pressing your Windows key on your keyboard, and we're going to type in disk cleanup right here. Then you're going to select your C drive, then press OK, and then this window is going to pop up right here. Now, guys, once you get this open, you will be able to see everything that we're going to clean up. Now, all of these are temporary files like we did before, and this is in Windows to get rid of all of these unnecessary files. Now, if this is your first time doing this and you've had your PC for a while, you're probably going to be saving a lot of space. The first time I did this, I cleaned up 40 gigabytes on my C drive. It was absolutely ridiculous. So once you do that, you can go ahead and uncheck or check anything that you'd like, but we're going to do all of them here, and we're going to just press OK. And this should take a minute depending on how many files you had. I remember the first time I did this, it was probably about 5 minutes. So don't be too worried. It'll take a few minutes, and once this is done, we'll be back. Oh, I didn't even realize it was done. Once it's done, it automatically closes, so you don't know, but it looks like mine was finished. But guys, that's going to be about it. And listen, if you're a subscriber of mine, you know I will be in the comments. So if you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to anybody that drops a question. And also, we are like 600 subscribers away from 200,000, guys. So make sure to hit the sub button if this helped. And also, if you want to know why you can't edit fast on controller, click this video right here on screen. It's only 1 minute long, and it's super helpful. So go and watch this video, fire up your PC, and get to playing, and tell me how your guys' game feels down below. And again, I wanted to throw a huge shout out to Geology as well for partnering up with me and sponsoring this video. Also, guys, don't forget to check them out down below. But anyways, click this video, and I'll see you in there. Thanks again for watching to the end. Much love. Peace, guys.